What are the four horsemen of the apocalypse in Revelation 6? Seal number 6 is about the same signs that are in Matthew 24, verse 29, and Matthew 24 is called the Olivet Discourse. Christ and the disciples are passing by the temple in Jerusalem, and the disciples say how beautiful the temple is. Then Christ replies, the temple will be destroyed. There won't be one stone left upon another that won't be pulled down. Then they ask him when this will happen, and he tells them about it, and then he jumps over to another subject, the return of Israel, and the reverse of the destruction that the conversation begins with. But my point is that Matthew 24:29 corresponds to the sixth seal in Revelation 6, which is verse 12 through say 15. The point is that a large part of Revelation is nothing more than the Olivet Discourse, and based on that principle, the four horsemen, we start off with the first horseman. The rider on the white horse with a bow, like you use with a bow and arrow, going forth to conquer. He's conquering and to conquer. Now this corresponds to Matthew 24, where the Roman Empire was at its greatest extent. It had, around that time, which was 30 AD, that same period of time, the Roman Empire had expanded to Britain, and it had already gone to France, and I forget the other places, but it was at its full extent. So the first horseman corresponds to the Roman Empire at that time, 30 AD, let's say all the way to say 50 AD, or I'd say let's say 70 AD. Okay. Now, based on the idea that the first horseman is the Roman Empire, we can go further, and the other three horsemen would be the Roman Empire in its decline and fall. Now, this part is not in the Olivet Discourse. So this part of a Revelation is an extension of the Olivet Discourse, and okay. So these preachers that try to say the four horsemen are about the end time, no. The end time has not come at this point in Revelation. The fifth seal, where the souls of the dead ask for Christ to bring judgment, to bring revenge upon the forces that were responsible for the killing of these souls, killing of these people. Christ says, wait a little longer. And then there'll be a persecution of the church that was like the persecution at the beginning of the church age. And this tells us the end time has not come yet. But the persecution is about the end time. Now we go over to the sixth seal. The sixth seal is definitely about the end time. The various signs in the sun, moon, and stars. That's all about the Russian attack, the nuclear war. The most obvious of the signs that is clearly about nuclear war is the one where Revelation says that the sky will disappear like a scroll that is being rolled up. Now, the idea is that in nuclear war, there are nuclear, the mushroom cloud, which comes after the nuclear fireball. The nuclear fireball lasts for 3 minutes, and then it turns into the mushroom cloud, which is the cooling of the fireball. And the mushroom cloud, as it expands, it fades away. But as it expands, there's a rolling action. So it's not the sky itself that disappears. It's the mushroom cloud that expands, and it's rolling up or rolling out. And so the cloud is what is like the scroll rolling up. So it's not the sky disappearing, it's the mushroom cloud in the sky disappearing, fading as it widens. It widens and fades, and as it's widening, it's rolling. And so that's the explanation. Now the other things, like the stars falling, that would be man-made stars that they're like mushroom, the nuclear fireballs, the nuclear warheads. They explode and become nuclear fireballs. Now the fireballs are man-made stars because they operate on nuclear fusion. And it's the same principle that stars operate on, nuclear fusion. The sun is a star. It is basically millions of nuclear bombs going off continuously. Okay, where it says the moon turns red, blood red, that's both in Revelation 6 and in Matthew 24. And that's the smoke from the fireballs, the smoke from the bombs, the smoke from nuclear war, as cities are turned into craters. All the ashes from the skyscrapers go up into the sky as ashes and smoke and soot. They fill the sky. So the light of the moon cannot come through. Only the red part of the light from the moon can show up. So the moon looks red, and the moon looking red happens whenever there's a great fire. When there's a great forest fire, the moon will look red to some extent. When there's any kind of a super fire, the moon will look red. Now, this definitely happens in nuclear war because of the amount of destruction. Revelation 6, I think it's like verse 14 or 15, where it says the mountains will disappear or be removed. that would have to be limited to man-made mountains, in other words, skyscrapers, because that is the target of the nuclear bombs. America's cities are the targets. America's cities are filled with what? Man-made mountains, skyscrapers. Where it says in Revelation 6 that the sun will turn black. This doesn't mean the sun. This means everything turns black for just a split second. This happens due to wave inversion, where light waves have a crest and a trough, the top of the wave and the bottom of the wave. Now you have one wave, the crest. If you superimpose another wave, the trough of the wave, they cancel each other out, and there's blackness. I saw a movie, a movie made for TV, and it was about this nuclear bomb going off, and they had a split second of darkness. That's where I come up with this explanation, because they showed a split second of darkness about this authentic simulation of a nuclear bomb going off. So I know that that's what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off. So the sun turning black, if you change that to everything turning black for a second, that would be fulfilled in nuclear war. Okay, well, the main point of this video was to show the four horsemen are not about the end time. The first horseman is the Roman Empire when it's conquering, when it's going forth, conquering and to conquer. And the other three horsemen are the the decline, the Civil War, and then the famine during the decline, then the fall of the Roman Empire. And so that happened way back in the first few centuries of the church age. Now, the fifth seal is about the souls under the altar, and it's talking about Christ telling the souls that were slain during the times of the persecution, the first 3 centuries of the Roman Empire, when the pagan emperors tried to destroy the church. Now, Christ says there will be a similar persecution during the end of the church age. That would be the persecution of the church during the Russian the communist age, the communist period in Russia, which supposedly has ended, but it has not really ended. The Kremlin is simply putting on an act. And it's also talking about the persecution in the Chinese, in China. And then also persecution in the Eastern Europe. But it's Revelation 6, the sixth seal, which is the end time, and the nuclear war, the Russian attack on America, and 3 countries in Europe. And, okay, hold on. Now, the seventh seal, I won't get into that, except to say there's silence in heaven for the space of half an hour.